What's going on, everybody? This is Matt with Project Unbroken, and today I'm going to tell you the top 5 reasons you can't get off Suboxone. Stay tuned. Number 1, you don't have a game plan. So we get a lot of emails and comments from people that are asking us for advice about their Suboxone issue. A lot of times the comment or email goes something along the lines of, I have a couple of Suboxone, or I have a couple milligrams of Suboxone. It can last me, about a week. If I take 1 milligram a day, is this going to be enough to get me through withdrawal symptoms? And the answer is no, it is not. You can't go into this thing without a game plan and expect to find success on the other side. So this isn't completely your fault. I don't want to give you any excuses or, ways to get out of this necessarily. But I understand that sometimes it may be difficult to find a reputable source for Suboxone or Methadone. I think a lot of these things can go along the same lines. But you have to try to approach this thing with some sort of game plan. So when you are looking at, trying to come up with a way to get out of your heroin addiction and we find Suboxone, don't get Suboxone from your junkie friend who has a couple pills and he's trying to sell so he can get more bags. This is not a reputable source. This is not a good way to structure your recovery plan. You need to do a little bit of research. There's way more Suboxone clinics and doctors that can prescribe Suboxone than there were 10 or 15 years ago. They're everywhere. Get on Google, do some research, find some reviews, find a doctor that is going to work with you through this thing. You can't expect to go into this blind. You can't expect to go into this with 6, pills of 8 milligrams or whatever and make it out on the other side. When you enter into this, attempt at recovery, you are going to have to set yourself up for success with a long-term plan and a long view of how you're going to do this thing. I would expect, depending on how long you've been in your addiction, you should probably plan on this taking, at least several months, if not several years. That being said, there should be a blueprint for a tapering method and, a way to come off of this eventually. I don't think it's a good idea to maybe stay on Suboxone or Methadone forever. Some people think that that's a good idea. That's not what we're about. I feel like it's a crutch that can definitely be worked off of with proper planning. Again, the number one thing I would say that people screw up when trying to get off Suboxone or Methadone is not having a game plan. Number 2, and this is a big one, you are scared of withdrawal symptoms. We all are. It sucks. Withdrawing sucks, but you don't have to withdraw if you take care of step number 1 and come up with a good game plan. You find a reputable source for Suboxone or Methadone again, and you start to work your way through this. We've all been there. I remember the first time that I went through my withdrawal symptoms, I felt like I got hit by a fucking bus covered by flu symptoms. I don't even know how to explain it. It sucks real bad. Your stomach is a complete wreck. For me, the first thing that hit me, or the first thing that I hit, was the toilet. You have the worst cold, chill symptoms. It's like you're burning and freezing at the same time. You have restless leg syndrome. It's just you're crawling in your own skin, and the only kind of relief that I could ever find was to sit in a hot bath for as long as I possibly could before I had to do some other shit with my day. We go into this in some of our other videos, what the withdrawal symptoms are like, but I'm preaching to the choir. You guys know what they're like, and they're not fun. But again, if we go back to step 1, we have a reputable, reliable source of Suboxone or Methadone to keep us from withdrawing. You're going to be okay, all right? I promise you. And if you have a reputable source or a reliable source and somebody that is helping you design a blueprint for how to come off eventually of Suboxone or Methadone, you're going to be able to do this very comfortably. So my last final and successful attempt at getting off of heroin, I had all my chips in a row, or all my ducks in a row, whatever the term may be. But I had a doctor that knew exactly what was going on with my situation. I was, very transparent about what my goal was. I wasn't trying to sneak around and sell my Suboxone pills and secretly do dope anymore. I was ready to quit. And this doctor really helped me structure a game plan, and it worked in a way that I was never uncomfortable. In fact, I was almost too comfortable in the beginning. In my video, and I'll put a link to this, where I talk about how I got off of Suboxone, I tell everybody that the doctor started me off with 16 milligrams a day. That's a lot of Suboxone. And, just going off of how I felt, our next meeting, it was kind of a week-by-week thing with him. I went in and I said, hey, I feel like this is, too much. And with my goal for tapering off at a certain period of time, I think I might be able to dramatically cut this dose and be comfortable throughout my day. So it was maybe, within the course of 2 weeks, I went from 16 milligrams a day to 8 milligrams a day. And honestly, I felt really fine. I didn't feel any withdrawal symptoms whatsoever. From there, I definitely tapered down much slower. And again, I go over all of that in my video of exactly how I got off Suboxone. But there was no rush. I never felt any withdrawal symptoms. I never felt any anxiety of withdrawing at all. And this really gave me a buffer to get away from my lifestyle that I was living in while I was on heroin. But if you're out there and you're, writing in these comments and you're like, oh, well, I hear that if you go cold turkey off Suboxone, the withdrawal symptoms are really terrible and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, they can be depending on the dosage. But again, back to step number one, if you have that reliable, reputable source, you don't need to worry about that. So again, step one, or the biggest thing that is screwing you up, is not having a game plan or a reliable source for Suboxone or Methadone. Step two is don't be scared of withdrawal symptoms. Just make sure your bases are covered. Don't be stupid. Don't be trying to, get your Suboxone off of an unreliable source like a dealer who can't get them when you need them. That's how you relapse. And we all know that when you relapse after you've been clean for a little while or using Methadone or Suboxone, the chances of you overdosing are dramatically increased because your body is not used to the same dosage that you were when you built your tolerance up. All right, so a lot of times when people screw up on the Suboxone or Methadone program and relapse, it's their last shot. Don't make that mistake. The third reason that you're having a tough time getting off of Methadone is you're not changing anything. All right? We can't just go through our life and keep our same shitty habits as we're, coming off of heroin and moving on to Suboxone, and we're still stuck in the same shit job and the same shit relationship, and we're still, not taking care of ourselves, and we don't feel good about ourselves. Nothing else, the real problem is not being fixed. So as you're going through your maintenance program, your Suboxone or your Methadone with your reliable source, and you're not scared of withdrawing, you really need to put some healthy habits into place. So this is really, really simple stuff, but it's very important. So I'm talking about, like, you need to start making your bed in the morning. Yes, I know it sounds fucking crazy, but it's where you start. It's the little things. It's, the way you take care of yourself. It's brushing your teeth. It's, getting a shower, just being clean, wearing clothes that make you feel good about yourself. And all it's about is improving your self-esteem. So why is self-esteem important? When you have a higher level of self-esteem, you start making decisions that are based off of a better idea of yourself. You start making decisions that are going to make you a better person. You have to start to wrap your head around this thing. And it's really hard. I mean, a lot of people get on us and they're like, oh, must be easy. You guys are really in shape. We weren't always in shape. Like, we started exercising and eating healthier in an effort to feel better. So if you're not adding these healthy habits and these new routines into your life, don't expect much else to change. And, a lot of times we're getting comments from people who have been on Suboxone for like 5 years and they're on, 1 milligram a day or 2 milligrams a day, which is an appropriate dosage to be on after that length of time. But they're commenting, they're like, I'm really having trouble. Every time I get off that last milligram, I want to relapse. Everything goes to shit. I'm withdrawing, blah, 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 blah. This is because nothing else in your life has changed. All you're doing is keeping the same shitty life. And I'm not trying to be mean. My life was shitty when I was going through it too, until I started adding things that would make it better. You have to add those things in. Your life is not going to magically just improve because you stop using heroin or Suboxone. You have to start doing positive things with your life. Or honestly, like, not much is going to change and you're just going to have a shitty day, and more than likely you're going to want to relapse because you have no other facilities to rely on. So if you start any difficult task, getting into shape, yoga, jujitsu, painting, take a cooking class, anything that is going to require you to put some time and effort in it to improve is going to help build your self-esteem. It's going to make you feel better, and it's going to have you stop focusing so much on like, oh, I feel like shit because I'm not taking Suboxone, to focusing on, man, I'm getting better at this thing that was really hard when I first started, and I'm starting to see some improvement, and I'm starting to feel better about myself. Then as you kind of move down the line and you improve on this thing or these things, or you find something you're passionate about, that starts to take you from your addiction or from your maintenance program, and it moves you to a life where you almost completely forget about it. You're not going to forget about it if you're just going through the same day-to-day routine and you're waking up every day and you're like, oh, I have nothing to be proud about. I have nothing to feel good about. You're just going to kind of remain depressed, and all that you're going to think about is, man, I used to feel a lot better when I was, on heroin or Suboxone even. You need to remove yourself completely from that lifestyle, and you need something else to improve your life. Start adding healthier habits, and this is not going to be an issue anymore. Number 4, and this is a tough one, your social circle is killing you. So a lot of times people, they're in their addiction, they're in their heroin addiction, and they have their friends that do heroin, and yeah, like me and Tony are trying to quit heroin, but Tony will quit and I stay on, and then I try to quit and Tony's on. You have to get away from those people, and everybody says how difficult it is. Well, I can't get away from it's my best friend, or it's my sister, it's my uncle, whoever it is. It can be a family member, and I know it's really hard, but just understand that if you have those kind of negative influences in your life, it's going to make it impossible for you to get away from it. It is what it is. I mean, we talk a lot about how Greg and I, we were best friends for 10 years, and it got to the point where I think we both knew, but I had to kind of pull the trigger and not talk to Greg anymore because I wanted to quit. And at the time, Greg was not trying to quit. And I knew that neither one of us would ever get off if we continued down that same kind of deadly spiral of you try to quit and then I drag you back into it, or I try to quit and you drag me back into it. If you're still stuck around the same group of people doing the same shit that you were doing in your addiction, don't expect anything else to change. This goes, back in line with number 3, with new habits, new places, new things. You have to get around new people who have, a positive influence in your life. If you're not adding that stuff into your life, don't expect anything else to change. Those people that drug you down and that, you drug down, you guys will continue to do the same thing. I know it's hard. You have to get over it. If you want a different life, you have to do different things, and you need different people to be around. Maybe, like, Greg and I, you can reconnect someday if you feel that that's going to be a positive thing later down the road, and it's not 9 times out of 10. And, I feel lucky that, Greg and I are able to, be in touch again and be able to do Project Unbroken and try to help people that have gone through the same things that we went through. We're lucky. It doesn't often happen like that, and you can't expect it to. You need to let it go, and you need to take care of yourself, and you need to let them take care of themselves, and hopefully one day things will come back around. But in the meantime, you have to get away from the group of people that are tearing you down. Number 5. Tough love right here, guys. You are making excuses. So this one's gonna suck. But we get a lot of comments from people that, you know, they're talking about why they can't get off Suboxone, and it's as if they have some uniquely difficult situation or circumstance that nobody else who's going through this has, and that's just not the case. I will never compare anyone's addiction, no matter what the substance is, to anyone else's addiction. I don't care if it's you're addicted to, you know, heroin or alcohol or cocaine or sex or shopping, whatever it is. If it consumes your life and it's making your life unmanageable, it's making your life unmanageable. Some people may make better or worse decisions depending on their situation, but don't compare your situation to anyone else's. It's just a waste of time, and it gets you stuck in that victim mentality. There's a lot of people that are like, well, must be nice, you don't know what it's like. You know, I got into it because I was abused when I was younger, or I was in an accident, or I had a surgery and I got addicted because my doctor didn't tell me that these pills were going to do this to me. I get it. We all fell into addiction a different way. It doesn't make your way any more difficult to get out of than it does with anybody else's. There's a lot of people that say, oh, it must be nice, you guys are young and in shape. Again, we were not in shape when we were in the depths of our heroin addiction, okay? If you're young or old, being addicted to heroin is not any easier or more difficult. I don't care what anybody else says. Quit using your personal situation or circumstances as an excuse for you to stay in it. It's going to be hard. No matter where you're coming from, it's going to be hard, okay? And you have to be diligent. But if you go back and you look at these steps that we're going over, step one, have a game plan for what you're trying to do, all right? Having a game plan means have a reliable source, do some research, understand the timeline of how long this thing really takes, and set yourself up for success, all right? That's step one. You really need to take care of that first. Step two, don't be scared of withdrawal symptoms. If you have step one taken care of and you have this game plan, you should be able to taper down off of Suboxone or Methadone or, you know, however we're handling this thing comfortably, all right? You're working with somebody, a doctor, a supervisor, whoever, you know, a counselor, whoever's helping you through this thing. You guys will have a game plan, and if you jump too far and you start to feel a little bit uneasy about your dosage, talk to them, and hopefully you pick the right kind of person where they're like, all right, let's jump it back up to 6 milligrams a day. We'll see how you feel, and then go from there. All right? Don't be scared of withdrawal symptoms. Again, you're not going to die. You can handle it. All right? Just be smart and make sure you have a reliable source. Step three, get these healthy habits put into place before you start tapering down off your maintenance program. All right? So once you're comfortable and you kind of, you know, whether it's Suboxone, Methadone, what have you, and you're able to, you know, go out and interact in the world and be a normal person again, start exploring. You know, try a yoga class, try working out, try a painting class, go to a cooking class, whatever it is. See how it feels, see if anything grabs your attention, and then go down that rabbit hole. You might find something that you're really in love with. You might find something that you're passionate about. And like me, you know, it turned into a business and it made me really successful, and I love what I do every day. But you have to get outside of your comfort zone. You have to put these new habits in place. If you don't change anything, don't expect anything else to change. Number 4, get away from the negativity. Get away from the negative people in your social circle. Get away from the people that are still in their addiction. Get away from people that are going to drag you down. Don't rationalize. Don't say like, well, you know, Tommy's my cousin and, you know, he's trying too. Good for Tommy, but he's going to have to do this on his own. You're going to have to do this on your own. You know how people bring each other down. Just stay away from it, all right? I know it's hard, but you're just going to have to bite the bullet, and you'll be fine, I promise. Number 5, stop making excuses, all right? I know this is a tough pill to swallow. I know that you've been down a rough path. I know that you've had some things happen that are really hard to get around, but you can't let them drag you in the mud forever, all right? You got to get over it. Whether that's forgiving yourself or forgiving somebody else, whatever it is, let it go and move on. All right? It's you can't use these things to further your addiction. You can't use these things to keep you down in the dumps. It's just going to get worse and worse and worse. You have to let go of the excuses, look at yourself, see yourself where you want to be in the next 3 years, the next 5 years. Your life can be dramatically different. All right. You just have to, you can't make excuses. You can't play the victim, and you can't say, well, must be nice if, I had this going on, it'd be a lot easier to quit. Or if I didn't have that going on, it'd be a lot easier to quit. Drop that shit immediately. Don't make excuses. Don't play the victim. You get rid of that stuff, and you're going to put yourself in a situation where you can find success with this thing. So guys, thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to share this video with anybody that you know that is struggling with getting off of Suboxone. I know it's a tough pill to swallow. I don't like being harsh with you guys, but it's the truth, and it's going to steer you in the right direction. Stay tuned. If you guys have anything that you want us to speak on or give you advice about or hear our experiences on, leave us a comment. Email us at projectunbroken@gmail.com or hit us up on our website at www.projectunbroken.com, and we look forward to talking to you soon. Thanks for watching, guys. See ya.